In this video, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to give recommendation and advice in English. I'm Teacher Prix, and I want to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. This is day 7? 6? I have no idea, but I hope you are enjoying this Vlogmas. And if you're new here, hey, please consider subscribing. Every week I post all kinds of videos to help you become a more confident speaker. Today I decided to show you 3 different ways to give recommendation, to give a suggestion, to give some advice to someone in English, okay? Basically, you can make affirmative sentences, questions, or you can put yourself in the person's position. How do you do that? I'm gonna show you. Let's see, for affirmative sentences, you can use modal verbs. 2 very nice modal verbs you can use are should and ought to. Now, many students get confused about the difference between should and ought to. Some people even say that ought to is a little bit more formal than should, and it's not so common. Well, actually, not necessarily, okay? People use ought to as much as they use should. Actually, I was tracking some books and some forums, and ought to is as common as any other word, as table, for example. The only difference is that you need the to after the word ought. You ought to study, or I can say you should study, okay? And ought to is not so common in negative sentences. Okay, so that's something I would recommend. If you're gonna give a negative suggestion, just do it with shouldn't instead of trying to use ought to. Okay? So as I was saying, you can use modal verbs to give suggestions in affirmative sentences. I think you should eat more healthy food. You ought to eat more healthy food. You can even use sentences like, I think you should, I believe you should, in my opinion you should. It's okay too. So these are some ways to give a suggestion in an affirmative sentence that will mean you are giving a recommendation, that will mean that you are giving a piece of advice, okay? For questions. Now, if you want to give a suggestion and recommendation by making questions, you can do that too. You can ask a question with the idea of giving a recommendation, of giving a piece of advice. For example, I put on 2 kilos last month. What should I do? Teacher Prix, why don't you eat more healthy food? Why don't you? So this is a good way to make a question with the idea of giving a recommendation, of giving a suggestion to someone. Why don't you eat more healthy food? Why don't you study more? Suggestion, recommendation, piece of advice, okay? Another way you can say that is, how about? How about eating more healthy food, Priscilla? That way you will lose weight. Yeah, I could lose weight, but I don't want to. So these 2 ways are very popular. How about and why don't you? The idea is to give recommendation, to give a suggestion, to give some advice, okay? And the last one, if you put yourself in the person's position, when you are in the person's shoes and you recommend something, how do you do that? Well, if I were you, I would eat more healthy food. So let's suppose again the example, I put on 2 kilos. What do I do? Then I can start by saying, well, if I were you, I would eat more healthy food. Oh, I'm not doing well at school. Oh, if I were you, I would study more. Okay, just keep in mind that if you're gonna use this structure, you will use simple past plus would. If I were you, I would blah, blah, blah. If I were you, I would study. If I were you, I would eat more healthy food. If I were you, I would try to get some rest. There we go. Today's video is gonna be short and sweet again, but very helpful. These are some ways to give advice and recommendation in English. There are so many more. I'm not going to give more details and explanations about modal verbs. As I said, this month the ideas and tips will be lighter, but there are videos coming to talk more about modals, and I will definitely talk more about ought to, should, must, and so many other modal verbs that we need to learn in English. Now I have 3 situations here for you. What do you need to do? Write a recommendation. Write a suggestion. Give your advice. Okay? I want to see your answers in the comments. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!